Today we'll be looking at how to implement dependency injection for Xamarin.Native. Now Xamarin.Native, unlike Xamarin.Forms, you can't use the dependency service class. So we'll have to do this manually. Now there are libraries that can do this for you, but I think doing it properly and manually will allow you to understand what's going on, and it will be easier to debug errors as well. So the first thing I'll do is create a .NET Standard library that's found in multi-platform library, .NET Standard library. Once that's created, I'll add some projects. Firstly, I'll add the iOS project. It'll be a single view iOS app. I'll call it XNDI, and that's my team. I'll call the project Dependency Xamarin.Native Dependency Injection.ios. And before I add the Android one, I'll add a reference to the shared library. And then I'll add the Android project. So we'll go to Android app, Android ZNDI .droid. Now you'll notice this might happen where the correct NuGet packages are not added, so we'll go to Manage NuGet Packages, Android X.core, and I'll add that. Accept. Yep, now they're gone. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is change this class to, I'll rename it to platform.cs, and I'll make it platform here as well, and I'll make sure I initialize. So we'll have a method public static void init, and in this I'll want to pass the platform just in case we need it, so that will be string platform. I'll also pass some implementations, but I'll do that later. Here I want a private, or rather a public, because we might want to access it from outside this class, static string platform. And I'll say this.platform equals, in fact, I'll make this capital P because we don't have a this. Notice here I've got platform, same name as the class. So I'll just change that to platform name. Okay, once that's done, we can also add an interface here. So I'll add a new file here, interface. I'll call it iAlertManager. And this will have a public void show alert with a string title and a string text. Okay. And now this, I'll have an instance of that kept here, iAlertManager, and I'll also make it public static alert manager. Okay. Now, before I can do anything, let me add to the constructor alert manager so that we can take this in, store the instance, and then use it from our .NET Standard library. This way we'll be able to show alerts directly from our .NET Standard library, and that would use the platform specific implementation that we're about to go through with. So before I can do anything, I'll need to implement. We'll make a new class, and that class will be called the Alert Manager. The Alert Manager will implement the iAlertManager interface. In fact, I've just accidentally generated an interface. Delete that. It appears I haven't added the reference, so I'll add a reference to our standard library, .NET standard library, and this, yep, now we've got Alert Manager. Implement that interface, and here with Droid, this will simply be making a toast.makeText. We'll need the context, so for now I'll leave that empty, and we'll need the text. I'll just do the title, the colon, and the text, and we'll have it as a duration toast length.short. Now to get the context, we'll need to just initialize and pass on the context. So here I'll have a privately read-only context, and I'll capital C, and we'll take that in the constructor and just assign it. So context equals context, and I'll be able to pass it. Now I'll also need to show the toast, otherwise we won't see anything. And that's about it. Now, before I go into iOS, I'll need to initialize from here. So I'll call Alert Manager dot, sorry, not Alert Manager. I need to use platform dot init, and we'll Android here. In fact, instead of using a hard-coded string here, I will create a new class called constant in the .NET standard library. I'll make it a static class. I'll have a static class within called platforms. I'll have a public static string iOS equals iOS, and a public static string Android equals Android. So instead of using Android here, just use constants.platforms.android, and we'll need an alert manager. So we'll say new alert manager. We need to initialize using the application context, and that's it, initialized. Now I'll also need to do a very similar thing for iOS. First thing I'll do is implement the interface, so alert manager, which will implement alert manager, and we won't actually need a constructor here. We'll say UI alert controller, equals UI alert controller dot create, and we'll need the title, the message, so the text, and the preferred style of alerts. Now I'll add to the alert controller an action of OK. In fact, it will be UI alert action dot create OK. Style is defaults, and we won't have a handler. Alert controller dot show. In fact, that's not a method. So we'll go to UI application dot shared application dot key window dot root view controller dot present view controller alert controller with a animation and a null completion handler. Okay, now we've done that, we can go to appdelegate.cs, and over here in finish launching we'll actually initialize that. So we use platform.init. The platform is constants.platforms.ios, and the alert manager will be a new alert manager, and the constructor doesn't take any arguments, so that's about it. Now, for iOS, I want to edit the view controller so that we have a button that we can click to show the alerts. But the button will use Alert Manager rather than directly call it from iOS, so it will be through the .NET standard library. Now, just to demonstrate just a bit further, I'm just going to add a public static void here called call alert manager show method, and it'll have a string title, string text. Okay, and that will simply call alert manager dot show alert title text. So I'll go to iOS, I'll open it in, I'll open main.storyboard in the Xcode interface builder. Okay, I'll just add a button here to the center. I'm not going to bother with constraints for now. Show alert, and I'm going to open viewController.h and create an outlet here, so for alerts button. Save this file, go to Visual Studio, synchronize the changes. Now we can close this and go to View Controller. And in the view did load, we can say alert button dot touch up inside plus equals, so subscribe to this event handler, and this will actually call platform dot call this method, and the title is going to be, we can actually decide the title directly from the .NET Standard Library, or we can do it here. So I'll just say test. This is an alert from the .NET Standard Library. In fact, it would illustrate my point a bit further if I did this here. So I'll go to platform, change that, take away these. Okay. Now, I'll do the same thing for Android. So in Android main activity, there'll be a floating button, floating action button on the bottom right. So instead of it doing what it's supposed to do, I'm actually going to replace that with alert manager dot, sorry, not alert manager, platform dot call alert manager show method. Now we call this, it's going to go to platform, it's going to call alert manager dot show alert, and that is going to use the platform specific implementation. So without further ado, let's test it out. Go to iOS first. Notice that I forgot to put in line 16. We need to say alert manager equals alert manager. That way we can use it. So as you can see, show alert has come up. And once I click it, we'll get this as an alert from the .NET Standard Library. So that's worked on iOS. Now let's try Android. Okay, it's up and running. So if I click this floating action button, we get the toast as we coded it. So it's all gone well now. It's all working. I'll upload this to GitHub and make sure public repository is available to see. Otherwise, that's it. Thank you very much for watching.